Hey, it's James from 4x4 Earth, and welcome to track 36 of the 4x4 Earth podcast, a weekend of four-wheel drive carnage at Robe, part 2.
Join James from 4x4earth.com as he learns all there is to know about four-wheel driving, camping, fishing, and getting out and exploring our great country on the 4x4 Earth podcast.
Alrighty, so we're continuing on with our epic chat with Brian from the weekend at Robe, and he is going to share some ideas about how you can drive better on sand. Some of the preparation, some of the things that you can do. So let's continue on with our interview. So what would your advice be to people who are looking at driving on sand? I've got to say, I love driving on sand, or beach driving. You know, the kids love it. It's good fun. What's your advice? What are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about?
Our main thing is tyre pressures. As soon as we get down there, we normally go straight down to 12 pound. Now, that's going to be different for different beaches around the country. Most of our guys, that works for us down the southeast. I think people need to understand that how a vehicle reacts if you're travelling in like sand ruts created by vehicles that have been through previously. A lot of people will fight the steering wheel. 9 times out of 10, you can let the steering wheel go, and the vehicle will stay in the ruts and drive straight. You get a lot of guys that plough, where they'll turn the steering wheel generally facing up the hill, up the beach sort of thing, and end up driving forward with their front wheels, facing hard left or hard right, and just putting so much stress on the vehicle, on components in the front end, stressing the driver itself, and just not realising that if you keep your wheels straight when you can, the car will almost steer itself. But there's a lot of instances where people think momentum's your best friend. I mean, it is, sure, but some people go too fast and get themselves into situations they probably could have avoided if they had to slow down a little bit. 9 times out of 10, the guys that do hit it too hard are normally running too high pressures and think they need to go faster to get through because their car's struggling. If you get your tyre pressures right and get the vehicle to float on the sand rather than trying to push through the sand, it's a lot easier on the vehicle, it's a lot easier on the driver. I think a lot of people aren't aware of that as well. I think going with groups, there's at least one other vehicle that is well set up to perform recoveries if needed. Max tracks or recovery boards are a great item to have, to get yourself out of a situation if you need to self-recover, if you're by yourself. Having a winch is handy, but a lot of the time you can't winch on a beach unless you bury your spare tyre or you've got one of those land anchor devices, which I think are pretty cumbersome and heavy to throw in the back of a vehicle.
Yeah.
But, it's just be prepared, know what the conditions are going to be like, study the tide charts, find out when your high tide and your low tides are, which is quite important. Check what the condition of the sand's like. If it's really dry and fluffy, it's going to be generally pretty soft and can be a lot harder to get through. If the sand's damp and moist, there's normally compacts a little bit better under the tyres, which does make traversing the beaches a lot easier. Even with just a bit of rain, that helps a lot, even to places like the border track. One weekend it can be hot and dry and vehicles will struggle. Next weekend it could be rain and then you'll cruise through no worries at all. So it's all dependent on the conditions at the time when you're there. But it's just, I think a lot of people also make the mistake of believing all the ads on TV where they'll see a full drive flying along a beach, big turns and throwing sand up left, right and centre. And I think they can go and get a vehicle from a dealership and do that. Whereas 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. You need to start off something a bit slower and a bit easier and just work out how the vehicle reacts in situations and what you need to do, picking your right gears, learn what gears your vehicle responds better in soft sand and situations where you need to have that power there should you need it. There's lots of variables. You could go on for hours about it, what you need to do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I think a lot of it's just going out and doing it, but doing it in a controlled manner, an environment, with people that have maybe got some experience and can give you pointers here and there where you may find you're struggling and ask someone, in your group if you're not sure. There's plenty of things that, can make a trip cruisy and easy or can make the trip bloody horrible. I know that our second day down at Cat Jaffa, I led a trip from Laura Carina back to back to Robe, and one of the guys was really concerned about Errington's Beach, which has got a bit of a reputation down there. And we got down there, and it was fine. I mean, we had eight vehicles on that one, and no one got stuck the whole day. Everyone cruised through, not a problem in the world. Had a fantastic time. Much different to the previous day where one vehicle ended up on its side.
Yeah.
It's different every day, Depends how many vehicles have been through and chopped up areas, not running the right tyre pressures, or being a little bit gung-ho on the loud pedal. There's heaps of things you need to consider. But if you can go over there and have fun, have a good time, come back with no dramas, no damage, no injuries, you've had a great time, generally.
And you're on the beach too, which makes it fun.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
One of the things I find really interesting is like when the beaches just north of Robe, so firm and so well compacted down that...
Yeah, Long Beach.
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah, Long Beach, yeah.
You see two-wheel drives driving there, and I would doubt that any of them have aired down. And
sure, I mean, Commodores with caravans on there.
Oh, with a caravan, that's epic.
Yeah. Oh, on more than one occasion, for sure. Yeah.
But it is. It's like driving on the freeway, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah. Absolutely.
Very, very easy driving. But, you only need to go probably 20 minutes, half an hour, and you can get into some sand that is just very, very, very...
Yeah, and unforgiving, yeah. Doesn't take much. Each side of Road there, up the other side, past right or near Wrights Bay. That area, up past Botswan's Point, that can be very soft and treacherous through there. I think there was a video posted on the forum of a 100 series rolling over in the west not too long ago. And there's an area near Wrights Bay, very similar to that.
Yep.
Where it can be quite eroded and quite steep angles and not much beach to play with. Yeah, so, you've got to assess situations, especially down there. It can be the same on Fraser Island too, I suppose. Good areas, hard-packed areas, and then really soft areas where people struggle and get stuck all the time, like you see on many of the videos.
And that's one of the things. Fraser is notorious for rollovers. There's quite a few of them, which is really quite sad to see. Often in rental vehicles, which I think is probably a part of it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The other thing I find interesting is early in the morning, I find it's a little bit easier going. There's a little bit more moisture in the air. As the sand heats up,
it gets harder.
It gets harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The sand gets soft, and once it dries out and gets all fluffy, it can change within an hour quite easily, sometimes less. Depends on the climate, on the conditions at the time. Yeah, but in the end, it's all good fun.
Oh, it's great fun. It's great fun.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, which I've been caught out with a couple of times, is you air down and you think you've aired down enough. You go driving and particularly if you air down right at the start of the day, then you go driving.
The tyre pressures change.
And the tyres have heated up, and that can make quite a big difference in tyre pressure.
Absolutely. Yep. We found, for us, most of the time we'll get down to an area where we're going and we'll air down while the tyres are hot.
Yep.
So that way your pressures are going to pretty much stay the same, except for first thing in the morning they'll be a bit lower until they warm up a bit. But for us down there, we normally go straight to 12 pound straight away. And generally of a morning they'll be down around sort of 8 to 9 until you get them warmed up a little bit, and then they're normally up around 12-ish, which seems perfect for down there. Some people might think it's too low. I know a lot of people go to 18 to start off with and then realise, maybe go down to 15 or maybe go down to 12 later. But personally, I think it's better to be at that lower pressure to start with and have an easier time rather than finding out the hard way you should have gone lower in the first place.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it, And it works for us. Never rolled a bead. I think they only got sand in the bead once. And everyone, all the guys that come on our trips are the same, always down to 12 and never have a problem. And it's just so much easier on the vehicles too. I mean, sure, if there's little sections of blacktop you've got to run between areas, you just do 60 k's an hour at that lower pressure and you're fine. Unless you want to air up and air down again, it's up to the individual. At the time.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at the number of... You'll come across someone and you can see that they're struggling. Either struggling to get up a dune or they're just struggling in some pretty untidy sand. And you know that they just haven't aired down. Some of them haven't aired down at all.
Yeah.
And some of them...
Quite obvious sometimes.
Yep. They'll have aired down to 25 and that's where they think it needs to be and they don't want to go any lower.
That's right, yeah. They're scared they'll roll the tyre off the rim, you know.
Yep.
But some people are amazed. I come across one guy one day in an old Forerunner that was stuck on the beach. Just a flat section of beach. It was very soft, but his missus was fuming. His kids were freaking out, and I heard him call out on the radio for help. So I went over and had a look and just said, "Mate, have you dropped your tyre pressures?" He said, "Yeah, I went from 40 to 30. I said, "Well, you need to halve that again at least." He's like, "Oh, you don't be ridiculous, you know, you can't do that, rah, rah, rah." I said, "Mate, if you want to get out, that's how you do it." You know, and his wife got to the point where she just said, screamed at him, "Lower the pressures, you bloody idiot." In the end, I dropped him down to 14 for him, and he drove straight out off the beach. He was amazed. He couldn't believe the difference in the vehicle itself.
Yep.
Just from being stuck for an hour and a half with a wife that was just furious and kids that were freaking out, to being able to drive the rest of the day and not getting stuck once. He couldn't believe it. And that was a good learning point for him and his family. I don't know if his wife wanted to ever go again after that situation, but yeah, it was a good learning curve for him. I've been in that situation heaps of times where people have just not prepared to drop the tyre pressures. They think they're scared that they'll roll a tyre off the rim or they'll get sand in the bead, but once they've done it, you talk them through it and, you know, show them your tyres, how deflated they are, and you've not had any troubles. They just need a bit of convincing most of the time that it's going to be okay. You just need to tell them, you know, don't take any sharp corners at speed. Don't try not to turn sharply into areas if you can avoid it, and you'll be fine. And that's the biggest key, I think, is educating people on, you know, the main thing is tyre pressures for sand driving. That's my belief, and I've been of that belief for the last nearly 15 years. And, well, I've been stuck a couple of times, but, you know, nothing too treacherous sort of thing. But, yeah, tyre pressures are the key for sand. And knowing what gear to be in, I think. That's my personal opinion anyway.
That's a good topic. What's your thinking on gears? Where should you sort of be?
Well, with my truck, third gear low range is perfect. Cruising through the dunes and through softer sections of sand. If you've got a nice open section of beach, you can whack her up into fourth or fifth. You know, get up around 40, 45 k's an hour, and it's fine. I mean, each vehicle's different, of course, but I know mates with patrols that they'll run third low through most of the areas until they get on the beach and whack her up into fourth and fifth. And if you can jump into high range, jump into high range. Good thing with the cruisers is you've got the centre diff lock, so you just lock that, which is quite helpful as well when you're in high range. I think it all varies. I remember Swaggy, come over once, and we got him down to 12 pounds, started off at 12 pound and cruising along in low range, and he was having all sorts of trouble. And in the end, 8 pound ended up being perfect for his vehicle, and second and third low were optimum for him. As second, I think it's a naturally aspirated 2.8 litre diesel, his truck.
Yep.
His highlight. Yeah, needing to use second gear more than third, but those two gears, second and third, were perfect for him. And at the lower pressures, yeah, he had no dramas at all. But I know guys that'll try and run through in high range just to say they can, or they've done it, you know, which is a bit ridiculous to me, but hey, if they want to do that, good on them. All they're doing is tearing up tracks more and overworking their vehicle and probably using more fuel than necessary. But all vehicles are different, though.
Well, I think the big thing is, because there's some video of one of the rollovers, and the guy shared it because he said, look, we were out, and he goes, yes, I was travelling a bit too fast, but I just wanted to share it to show everyone how easy it was that you can do it. And it was a similar sort of thing. He was going up a hill, and he said probably too fast, but it looks like he's hit a tussock of grass and over to rolled. And he probably, the way that he was driving, the way he accelerated off from a standing start, probably in high range. So that low range.
From what I understand with that one, there was a hole on the other side that the vehicle dropped into.
Okay.
That's what caused it to roll, yeah, from what I understand. But, it's like a lot of things. If we're in big dune areas, if we need to get up a big dune, we'll give it just enough momentum to get to the top, and then we'll back off once, you're 4 or 5 metres from the top and just roll over it rather than powering over it, because sometimes you don't know what's on the other side. As you know, some of the play areas down there, south of the buggy club, or east of the buggy club down there, there's some big dunes you can drive in, and if you're flying over the top of one of those big ones and you're not sure what's on the other side, you can get airborne pretty quick and end up in some real strife if you're not careful. So I reckon it's always better to just use enough momentum to get yourself up it and to the top and then back off, and just, at least that way, if you need to, you can sit at the top and have a look what's on the other side. I know a lot of people make the mistake of just powering on and power over the top and fly over the top. Things, great fun. Yeah, but not knowing what's on the other side. I know quite a few guys that have ended up down in a steep pinch, stuck down in some dunes and can't get out backwards or forwards, sort of thing, just because they haven't taken the time to have a look, or gone a little bit slower to check out so they can see what's on the other side. But, everyone's different, Everyone's got their idea of how they should approach something or tackle something, and I think a lot of it just comes with experience over time, We all end up in situations where we probably should have put a bit more thought into it, maybe tackle things a little bit differently, but it happens to everybody, I suppose, at some point or another. You get yourself in a spot of bother.
Well, exactly, and I think it's probably one of the less difficult things to do. Like if you were going to pick something to do for the first time, beach driving is probably the easiest one to do. Let your tyres down, don't turn too quickly, and go out and have a bit of fun. But a good point, the sand flag.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's one of the key items to have, I think, especially if you're travelling dune areas where tracks might be vegetated or a bit tight and you can't see over dunes or around corners or whatnot. Probably not so bad on the beaches where you've got a fair bit of visibility, but definitely through dune tracks, sand flags are must. Especially in areas where it's two-way traffic. I know places like the board track is one way in one section, and I've never seen someone coming the wrong way at you, but you still chuck a flag on, You could be parked up on the other side of a dune having a cuppa, and you might not know a car's coming, but someone might see the flag first. It's one of the key things where we go down through Robe and Beachport, Canunda area. A lot of sharp corners and bends through the dune systems. It's heavily vegetated, and you can't see a car till it's on top of you, or motorbike riders as well. A lot of those guys down there fanging through the tracks, and there's been a few times where they've seen the flag and managed to slow down in time before it's been a head-on as such. So, yeah, definitely a very important piece of equipment to have, right? Sand flag, for sure. And they're not that hard to carry around either, Most of them come apart. You can keep them in your awning, zip up in your awning. It's a good place for them. Easy to get to, out of the way. It's not in the vehicle, rattling around or flying around like a bloody javelin or something.
Yes, yeah.
So, everyone should have one, I think, if you're going dune and beach driving.
Excellent. I think that's pretty much covered. Anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, no, not really. I think we've covered most of it. Don't you reckon?
I think we have. So, yeah, thanks for all that. It was an epic weekend away. We had a great time. Poor Big Trev. Yeah. Bit of panel damage, but got out of it better than it could have been.
Oh, absolutely. And a learning curve for Trev too. He's pretty experienced, and it just goes to show that one little lapse of concentration maybe, or Or maybe not getting complacent as such, but yeah, just that it can happen to anybody.
Just bad luck, just hitting that.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
But the good thing is he was okay and his car's back on the road, so it's a good outcome in the end. And he's got a great story to tell.
Yeah, he has, yeah. All right, well, thanks a lot, mate. That's been epic.
No worries at all, James. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Good. And so thank you for moderating on 4x4 Earth. We really appreciate that. And the other thing that I think is really, really important to acknowledge is thank you for being a trip leader.
That's fine, mate. I like the moderating side of it, man. It's enjoyable. It's good to see the banter that goes on the forum. You need to watch a lot of it to see what's going on. But I think with the moderators you have on the forum, it's really well controlled, and there's no real idiots as such on there. And I think if the odd one you do get, they're weeded out pretty quick. But it's not like other forums that are heavily moderated where people get banned for the drop of a hat sort of thing. I think you've got a really good system the way you have it set up, and the guys you have, the other moderators, they're good people. So, and they understand that you need a little bit of banter to often have some good fun.
Exactly.
It can be quite entertaining. So,
but the trip leading thing, I think that's really important, because how do you learn to go? There's so many trips where four mates will go out, like me and Grey Ghost. It was the two vehicles. No one was really. There was no real trip leader. And I think a lot of trips are organised like that, because I'm obviously the more inexperienced driver, but we weren't going anywhere that was too crazy. There's a lot of people, when they do go to places where there's a little bit of risk, they won't take anyone along who they don't know. And that makes it hard for people who, they're either new to an area or they're new to four-wheel driving. How do you learn this stuff?
I learned from just going out with experienced guys.
That's
when
it.
I first started, and just watching what they do, listening to what they do, and you just take it on board yourself. I don't know how many trips I've led now, but I really enjoy it. It's great fun, and I don't think I've ever had a drama on, probably around 40, 50 plus trips overall. Some of the big ones have led up to 25 vehicles on weekends, and that's been pretty hectic, but still, get everyone through unscathed and everyone has a good time, so it's a good result in the end.
And that's hundreds of people who've gone four-wheel driving with you.
Yeah, not hundreds and hundreds, but a lot of the same guys.
Yep.
As well, I just get a kick out of seeing people having a good time and maybe doing a section of track they never thought they would be able to do in their life, and you can get out and spot them and guide them through. And there's normally, with our crew over here, we have some pretty experienced guys, and everyone pitches in and helps out here and there where they can if someone's a little less experienced or whatnot. So there's really good camaraderie amongst our group over here. And I've noticed there's a couple of new guys from SA signed up on the forum recently, so hopefully you can get those guys, mixed into it as well and get them out there. And it's amazing what you can learn from people too that are experienced. They just have a different outlook on things and way to approach things and that. So there's always heaps to learn from different people. So I love it.
Yeah.
It's good fun. Yeah. But no, I wouldn't swap it for anything, James. I love it.
Well, you're in a beautiful part of the world.
You're lucky. Yeah. Not as lucky as you guys over there with your high country. That's like God's full driving zone over there.
Yeah, we are pretty lucky.
Try and get over there at least once a year, but we've got some amazing deserts over here and some great beaches to go and drive and that. Plus there's a few good private properties around the place. We try and do a trip to a place called Tyre once a year. It's probably got some of the best technical driving in the state, I would say, for rock crawling and whatnot.
Where's that?
It's a place called Tyre. It's about 3 hours north of Adelaide, I suppose, between sort of Burra and Peterborough. Yeah, it's just a private property up there owned by a younger bloke and his wife. And it's got some really, really cool creek beds, rocky creek beds that you drive. It's got a couple of touring tracks around the property itself as well. Yeah, Disco Matt's been keen to get over for a Terrari one for a while now. But one day we'll get him over here and show him what we do for when we want to go play in the rocks. Yeah, it's easy to do panel damage, believe me. But fantastic spot though.
Yeah.
Great for slow technical stuff, yeah. Yeah, so that's just one of the places, mate. Then you got Flinders Ranges as well, which is also incredible. Not really hard forward driving, but just the scenery alone is worth the drive up there.
Some amazing scenery, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, it's all around the country though, mate. Every state's got their beautiful areas, that and some little places the locals only know about and places the tourists know about. So it's a good thing that we've got such a vast country where there's so many options, places to go, We just got to keep them open. That's the important thing.
And that's the big thing, isn't it? So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. That's
cool,
an
mate.
epic story.
Yeah, it was good to get on and chat about it, mate. Thanks for having me.
No dramas, mate. So there you have it. A really good idea about some of the things that you need to be thinking about when you go heading off on the beach. Now, this has been bugging me for a while. The granites. Okay, I'll put a picture up in the show notes. For those of you who've been to Robe, you probably know what the granites are. Have you driven up it? I want to hear from you if you have. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's a bit too yobbo to do? Do you think it's being unreliable? Has anyone gone pear-shaped driving on the granites? I really want to know. Partially because I think it would be epic to do, but I think that this has got to be one of the top 10 things to do in your four-wheel drive in Australia. Like, seriously, that photo would be completely epic. So I want to hear what your thoughts are. Yeah, let's have a conversation about the granites. I want to know if you've done it or if you didn't, what your thoughts are. So, yes, that's it. Apart from that, I hope to see you out in the trails. That's it. Bye.
4x4earth.com is used by over 200,000 people every month to find great tracks, organise trips, and find out how to better enjoy exploring the great outdoors. There's over 1,000 tracks and 300 campsites ready for you to explore. So check out 4x4earth.com today and sign up to get access to the track information, ask questions, and meet other 4x4 Earthers. Membership is completely free. If you're looking for a good route, check out 4x4earth.com today.